Rendering, it's where all the magic comes together in Unreal Engine. Whether you're crafting cinematic visuals, optimizing gameplay, or pushing the boundaries of real-time rendering, your settings make all the difference. But where do you even begin? Hi, I'm Tuff, and in this video, we're diving into the ultimate guide for render settings in Unreal Engine 5.5.1. From basic configurations to advanced, I'll show you how to unlock the best performance and visual quality for your projects. Whether you're a beginner or a pro, this video has something for you. Let's head to Unreal Engine, and I have my project opened here. I already have a level design, and I have a sequence with a basic animation for demonstration. We have a camera in sequencer, and here's the basic animation. And let's make sure our movie render queue is enabled. Go to Edit and go to Plugins and search for Movie Render Queue. You can enable additional render passes, but it's still in beta, so I don't know if it's useful for a render or not. Once you enable it, restart your engine. Now click on Render button, and we have Movie Render Queue opened. And now click on Unsaved Config, and Render Settings will open. Here we're going to make changes to maximize render quality. Delete JPG sequence and add XR sequence. We use XR because it has highest quality. Don't change compression because PIS method provides leastless quality, but file size will be huge. Now, the next thing we're going to add anti-aliasing and then color output. Also game overrides. The game overrides are best for short animation or still images. It's important because it'll force Unreal Engine to use highest quality of textures available in the scene to render. But if your scene is too complex, I don't recommend you to use it because it'll increase your render time by hours. The last thing we're going to add are console variables. Now click on plus button to add console variables. And first, I'm going to add r.screen percentage, and I will set its value to 125. You can set it to 150 if you're using 1080p resolution to render. Next, command type r.depth of field quality and set its value to 5. But if you don't have very high-end graphics card, try using lower values if render is too slow. We can add more console variables. Next one is r.shadow quality and set value at 5. Let's add fourth one, r.motion blur quality, and set the value to 5. And the last one, r.bloom quality, and set the value to 5. And these are the only console variables we need to maximize the render quality. Now let's head to anti-aliasing. Set spatial sample count to 2 and temporal sample to 8, and tick on override anti-aliasing, and always set warm-up count to at least 64, and also set engine warm-up count to 64. And now let's set up color output. First, enable OCIO and create a OCIO config and save it in a folder. Let's name it OCIO_1. And now double-click and open it. Click on plus button to add desired color spaces and same for desired display views. We need only one for display view. Now on index 0, select Linear Rec 709 sRGB. And for index 1, select ACES CG. And for desired display view, inside Rec 1886, Rec 709, select ACES 1.0 SDR video. And now we can save this color configuration. Once we're done with color output in render settings, we have to make sure we use the same color configuration for our viewport, so we know how our scene will look after rendering. Click on Lit button and go to OCIO display. And now click on Enable display. You may see a few errors on your viewport, so go back to OCIO display and first select OCIO asset we just made. And on first option, select Linear Rec 709, and here select SDR video, and viewport errors are fixed. If I disable OCIO display, the viewport become a bit vibrant, so color difference is noticeable. Let's enable it again and head back to render settings. And here we also have to select Transform Source and Transform Destination. On Transform Source, select Rec 709, and for Transform Destination, select ACES CG. Now the final step of rendering, we have to select Output folder. choose a folder with enough space because we're using EXR sequence and it has really huge file size. And since I was using ultra-wide camera setup, so we have to get rid of black bars. And we will use custom ultra-wide 4K resolution. I will use 3840 width and 1606 for height, and it'll help you to get rid of black bars in render. And these are my best render settings for Unreal Engine 5.5.1. And you can save it as preset to use in future. I'll name it 4K ultra-wide. We can start render now. I will also add workflow of DaVinci Resolve and After Effects in this video, so you won't have problem with that. Once render is finished, I will open DaVinci Resolve. Let's wait for it to open. And now I'll create a new project to show you the workflow. To import a sequence in DaVinci Resolve, go to Media Pool and go to the folder where you exported your render from Unreal Engine. And here we have all the frames. I will select all and drag it to the Media Pool, but you can see it import them individually. So always make sure if your frame display mode is set to sequence. And now all your frames are turned into a sequence, and now we can import this into Media Pool. When you import it in your timeline, it's looking really blackish, or I would say darker in our viewport. Now let's fix this real quick. Go to Color Grading section, and then open Effects Library, and from Resolve FX Color. Here drag ACES Transform and drop it on your clip, and then change Input Transform to ACES CG and Output Transform to Rec 709. And now the render looks exactly like Unreal Engine viewport. And we also can do color grading here. I can't show that in this video because it'll be too long to show color grading and all stuff. And we have black bars visible in DaVinci Resolve, so we have to change the export resolution inside DaVinci Resolve as well. Let's head to Deliver section and scroll down where you can see Timeline Resolution. Change this to Custom and copy the same resolution we used for Unreal Engine. And you'll get rid of black bars, and it's ready to upload on YouTube. This is the simple and easy workflow of DaVinci Resolve. And now let's see how we can import our render inside After Effects. I have After Effects opened, and now I would double-click on empty space of Media Pool, and I will go to the folder where we have our rendered frames. Here, just select the first frame and click Import. After Effects will import the whole scene as sequence. You can create a new composition and import this in your timeline, or just be lazy like me and directly drag and drop the sequence in timeline, and it'll create the composition automatically. And like DaVinci Resolve, we have to fix the darker viewport. To fix that, first click on button called 8BPC, and here on default the color engine is set to Adobe. Now let's change it to OCIO. Click OK, and now change bit depth to 32-bit. And remember we used ACES version 1.3, so change it here as well. And now here select Working Color Space, ACES CG, and set Display Color Space, Rec 1886, Rec 709 STRVO. And now click OK, and your viewport will be same as Unreal Engine, and you are good to go. And last step for rendering, go to File, Export, and click on Add to Render Queue. Double-click on Output Module, and go to Color section, and here, let me search for Rec 1886, Rec 709. Oh, sorry. First, we have to take on Show All button, and then we'll able to find correct color mode. We can choose sRGB display ACES 1.0 as well, but I always use Rec 1886, Rec 709 SDR video for all of my renders inside After Effects. While I was making this workflow, I realized that some of Unreal Engine creators render still images, so I'm adding Photoshop workflow in it as well. I don't know if it's going to be important or not. Let's open Photoshop. Now I will import a single frame from our Unreal Engine Renders folder. Let's just select any random frame. And once it's opened, here we have same blackish frame inside Photoshop as well. To fix it, first select the layer from Layers panel and then go to Edit. And here at bottom, click on Open Color IO Settings, and here we have two presets for ACES 1.3 version, and select any of them. Then we have to change working space to ACES CG, and make sure document depth is set to 32-bit. Now click OK, And now go back to Edit, and then click on Convert to Color IO. And here, just change input color space to ACES CG, and your render image will be fixed. We have motion blur in the scene, so it's looking really bad for a still image. Now, let me show you how you can export image from Photoshop. Go to Edit, click on Duplicate to Profile, and change Target Profile to sRGB, and change Depth to 8-bit. Once you click on OK, we get a sRGB 8-bit image, which you can export from Photoshop and post it as your artwork on ArtStation or Instagram. So this was the Photoshop workflow, and we're done with the render settings. And here's a few tips I wanted to share with you. These settings are critical for achieving clean, professional quality renders. Use temporal samples to smooth motion and reduce noise in dynamic scenes, and boost spatial samples for refined details in static shots. For cinematics, try a combination like 32 temporal and 8 spatial samples to balance quality and render times. Keep in mind that high samples means high quality, but it'll take so long to render these scenes, so use high values only for still images or commercial renders. For movies VFX, use 2 spatial sample count and 16 temporal sample count. For baked lighting setups, use the GPU Lightmass feature. It's significantly faster than the CPU Lightmass and produces realistic results with soft shadows and indirect bounces. That's it for today. Remember, every project you create is a step forward, and every setting you tweak brings you closer to mastering your craft. Keep learning, keep experimenting, and most importantly, keep creating.